Recorded live.
Hey everyone, Hassan here. You're listening to the NintendoFuse podcast. Today is Monday, October 8th, episode number 184, entitled Our 10th Anniversary Special!
Woo!
Yeah!
I didn't know today was Monday. You said today was Monday.
No, Monday. All right, Tuesday. It's been a little while.
It's Tuesday.
I'm a little rusty on this. Tuesday, October 8th. There we go. I'm here joined by your favorite podcast crew here. We got Steve.
Hey everybody, happy birthday NintendoFuse.
We have Greg.
Happy birthday, NintendoFuse. Sporting the gear as well.
And Barry.
Hey guys, happy birthday NintendoFuse.
Right.
Yeah, it's exciting.
It is exciting. Oh man, Hassan, it's great. It's great to have you back. I mean, it's not like you've been gone completely for the last couple years. Actually, it's been a year or so, hasn't it been?
Yeah, I was wondering that too. I was trying to go back and remember how long it's been. I think it's been like a year or something. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, so it's not been too long, but you've not been completely gone because we've had you back as a guest a couple times and everything. But it's cool to have you back in the director chair a little bit, at least for an intro. We were talking a little earlier about how you had to go and kind of brush up on what you used to say and everything. So
and I still messed it up because I said Monday.
That's all right. We were on Monday for so long.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's our first Tuesday, and we were actually talking about earlier about how I think we used to do the podcast on Tuesday a while ago, maybe even in the early days. So I'm not really sure. But thank you guys for tuning in. If we got a bunch of people in the chat tonight, we got Jared, we got Mike, we got Jakester. We've got who else? I believe I saw someone else chiming in there talking as well. Low expectations. A bunch of other people that are just haven't commented yet, but I see you in the chat. Thanks so much for tuning in tonight. If you have not subscribed to the NintendoFuse YouTube page, make sure you do that and hit that bell to be alerted every time we post a new video, every time we go live like this. Also, make sure you follow us on social media and join our Discord. Our Discord's been blowing up, a lot of conversations, lots of really cool stuff going on there. We got a bunch of indie developers and everybody else in our NintendoFuse Discord, so make sure that you do join our Discord. All that information is going to be in the show notes down below in the description on YouTube. Let's before we get started into all the celebrations tonight, let's do our normal thing and talk about what we have been playing, and let's go to you first, Hassan, as our guest host. What have you been playing lately?
So lately, I actually went on a trip to Singapore and Malaysia over the last couple weeks. So brought the Switch with me and played on the flight a little bit, and played some Astral Chain, a little bit of Link's Awakening, some more Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, just chipping away at the adventure mode, still going through that. So those were pretty fun. I'm really digging Astral Chain, actually. Just the music, everything, just the whole thing has been real fun. I definitely want to play more of it. But just recently, I also downloaded Untitled Goose Game, which is pretty great. It's pretty hilarious and fun, and just I love the style. Like just the way they made the game. It's pretty addicting. It's fun.
Yeah, it looks hilarious. I was watching. I don't really watch PewDiePie that often, but his playthrough of Untitled Goose Game is absolutely hilarious. Highly recommended. So nice. Barry, what you been playing lately?
I haven't actually had as much time as I would have liked to play, so my list isn't nearly as long as last podcast. In addition to the standard, Final Fantasy XIV and Dragalia Lost, and I've actually been playing some Mario Kart Tour, which is slowly growing on me, but the microtransactions and the constant walls is starting to grate on me. All my time when I've had time to play on the Switch has been Dragon Quest XI, which is it's a big game, and just when I think, oh, I'm getting there, it starts, nope, you got more stuff to do. And I like that. It does actually bring back a lot of old school Final Fantasy vibes. It is a lot of fun. and I highly recommend it. The problem is that so many games are coming out. Like today it was like 7 games or something like that came out, and it's like, no, I'm still like halfway through Dragon Quest. I can't look at them. I have to keep playing Dragon Quest.
Nice. Do you play mostly in the new or the old style? With the graphical
I played
style?
the whole time in the new, but there is a special mode for the Switch where you go back to like past Dragon Quest games as you find the different passwords, and that is only in the 16-bit, like the whole town and the whole thing. So there it's 16-bit and the old school graphics. But there are some problems switching between them, because when you switch, you have to choose like the chapter. So you might, like, if you're like halfway through a chapter and say, oh, I want to switch to 2D mode, you pick that chapter, you start at the beginning of the chapter from what I've heard, so you might lose some save progress. So I'm just, I'm just going to stick 3D. I think it's gorgeous. Although it's funny because I do notice a little bit of cost-cutting measures where, like, when it's nighttime, you go into a house, it, like, brightens up a bit, and if you look outside, it looks daytime, but then when you walk out, like, the whole thing gets dark right away. So, like, little things like that are kind of like, I see what you're doing, but it doesn't really detract, and they did a great job porting it, and all the added stuff is great.
Nice. I still haven't played the demo yet. It's downloaded. I just so much to do, so much to talk about. So, anyways, Greg, what have you been playing?
Outside of my typicals like Fire Emblem Heroes and Dr. Mario World, I did check out Mario Kart Tour, and then on Switch, I'm still playing Link's Awakening. I'm very close to awakening the Windfish and putting a cap on that. So once that is done, I'll be jumping into Dragon Quest XI finally. So I have the physical copy all set and ready to go. I just need to finish Link's Awakening first.
Nice.
You'll love Dragon Quest XI, Greg. It's a big game.
I know. I absolutely love all the previous 9 installments that made it over here. So
nice. Jakester's been playing a lot of Link's Awakening, and he's been doing it live. So he's been posting that in our Discord as well, so you can watch him play live. And Jared's been 100% Link's Awakening. He's been playing Untitled Goose Game and Super Smash Brothers Ultimate now and again. I have also been playing a little bit of Link's Awakening, not made it nearly as far as I'd like to, of course, from Rocket League. But I went back and finally caught up on some old reviews. I've got like a ton of reviews that I've been doing, and a lot of indie games, which is Barry's been upset at me. I haven't been touching many the new AAA games because I've been trying to go back in my backlog of indie games to review. So I've got a review of Astro Bears that went up. I finally reviewed Runner 3. I did my review of the Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy, which I've talked about on this on the podcast before, but I finally wrote that review up. Finally wrote my review of Earthlock as well, which I'm a big fan of, and My Brother Rabbit, and Death Squared, and also Feather. Have you guys played Feather?
No.
I don't even know if I'd call it play. It's my review is a whole 2 paragraphs because I really didn't know what to say about it. It's like, it's an experience. It's like, there's not much there, and it's my opinion is it's too expensive for what it is. But it's not it's like a tech demo that they really should charge like $3 for. But yeah, so anyway, my reviews are all up there. I've been playing a lot of that, and I got a lot more of those games as well to keep cranking out and reviewing and everything. So. Man, well, let's move into some celebration time. The NintendoFuse podcast, 184 episodes over the course of 10 years. And Hassan, I was thinking earlier, we actually have some 2-parters in there, so we're probably closer to like 190 or so, 195 episodes actually. So.
Yeah, we're getting close to that 200.
Pretty
have another
close.
Celebration.
And another celebration. It's right around the corner. Who knows? But we've got some cool things in place for you guys tonight. We're gonna be talking about the early days and kind of getting a little history lesson a little bit at the NintendoFuse podcast. We're gonna be talking about our favorite moments over the years, our favorite episodes, and some cool stuff like that. But we also have some videos from some old members of the team, and also one of our longest probably listeners out there as well. So we'll kind of be spacing those throughout the show. But I thought we'd get kicked off with none other than Mickey DiLorenzo, who is actually the founder of NintendoFuse, which is actually We Nintendo back in the day. So take it away, Mickey.
Greetings, We Fuse podcast listeners. Hey, my name's Mickey DiLorenzo, and I started and founded the NintendoFuse website, which was called WeNintendo.net, back in 2006, the spring of 2006. So very early on, right when the announcement came that they were going to call it the Wii, that's when I went and bought the domain name and started a blog, which at the time was really not a thing that video games really did. There was a few out there. I think GBA Temp was one I used to frequent back then. And they sort of got caught with buying the URL that had GBA in the title, so they were forever branded, Game Boy Advance, but they eventually branched out into a bunch of stuff. Yeah, so at the time, no Facebook, no Twitter, no Instagram, zero social media going on. I think dig.com was doing really big around then. So that was one of our main ways of gaining popularity. So anyway, 2006, early on, I just started blogging about any Nintendo news that was coming out. I think the Wii wasn't even released until November of 2006. So this is 5 months prior. It's news and rumors and just general Nintendo fanboyism going on. So yeah, I had a friend who worked, I think the website was called girl.com in New York, and their parent company was NBC, and she got early access to a Nintendo Wii, and I was able to play Wii Sports very early on. It was like 2 or 3 weeks before the actual launch in November. I think it was November. So I had early access to that, which is just a circumstantial thing. I then went to Manhattan on release night in 2006, and I was one of the first in line to get a Wii, on top of having that one prior. I think I bought Zelda, and I don't even remember. But then after that, this is sort of how everything kind of blew up and how we all are here today, is that instead of reviewing Wii Sports, I noticed the workout part of it and the being out of breath. And I just instead of a blog review, I did a blog. Hey, I'm going to try something out and play Wii Sports every day for a certain amount of time and see what happens. And I took meticulous notes and posted my weight, before and after pictures, little videos and all that. It blew up. It was national news in the US here, and then it became global, worldwide news. And that basically afforded us visibility to everyone and everything. I was doing interviews. Nintendo was flying me to New York to do things, E3 passes, and this is where Steve originally reached out to me and became one of the first contributors, writers, bloggers, and all around awesome assistants and helpers in the site. Not too long after that is when Hassan decided to create a podcast. And again, this was early on, early stages of YouTube. The podcasts themselves were sort of bizarre. They usually kind of just sat as an MP3 somewhere, and you'd have to sync it up with your iTunes. So this was very early on. We had harnessed the technology available to us, and I'd say we're pioneers. At the time of We Nintendo, I don't think any other Nintendo site was up. I think maybe GoNintendo.com was the only other one. But yeah, we were ahead of the curve as far as blogs and coverage go in that sense. And we went hard for, I'd say, a good, 8 years, riding that initial wave of the Wii Sports experiment, influx of visitors. So it was very fun. And I really look back on those days very fondly, and of course the assistance of all the people who volunteered to help. I tried to send any swag that I got to everyone, any review copies I tried to send out, because everyone was putting in lots of hours every week. Super appreciative of all that. So yeah, I was 25 at the time in 2006. I'm 38 now. I was living in South Philadelphia, I wasn't married yet. I met my wife in 1997. We were dating in high school, and then we didn't get married till 2007. So the We Nintendo site predates my marriage and my two kids, two girls. They're 5.5 and 8.5 now. So this was my this is my heart and soul for a good chunk of my mid-20s and early 30s, and I'm really glad that it's still up and running, and you guys are still burning the midnight oil to get this thing up there in a crowded media environment. So congratulations, WeFuse podcast team and all the viewers over the years. Awesome stuff, and I can't wait to watch the show and listen tonight. Thanks.
Hey, thanks so much, Mickey. It was awesome to see him. I remember the times that we get to hang out and cover E3 together, and just it was cool to see him again. He's been kind of lurking around in the background for the last several years and kind of letting us take the lead of the site and everything. So thanks so much, Mickey, for sharing some history of the site as well. For those of you that are new followers of NintendoFuse, maybe you didn't know a lot of the history, so that was kind of cool to hear from him. Hassan, let's hear the early days story about the NintendoFuse podcast, because I know there was a lot. We had a couple attempts, if I remember correctly, before we settled on this one that's been going for 10 years. So if you count that one, it's probably actually been maybe close to 11 years. But
yeah, probably. Yeah, so we started with it was the weekly Fuse podcast with like WII KLY, and it was kind of similar, style and format, but just sort of early days, and I think we were just sort of trying things out. And then I don't remember the specific reason for why that one ended up stopping. I think we just got so busy with things, and it just kind of fell by the wayside. And then I was like, you know what, like this community is cool. We had like a good group of people that were active like on our forums, and we're like we love talking to each other about stuff. Let's try this again. Let's do this again. And somehow the name NintendoFuse sort of came about, and we started this podcast, and then eventually the website sort of followed and adopted the name as well, just for the consistency. But since the beginning of the NintendoFuse podcast, it's also gone through a bunch of changes as well, because I know we've tried we had the live tapings, but then we also did at one point just like pre-recorded tapings. And I remember there was a time when like each of us would record a segment, and we'd be like, now on to you, Steve, and then like you would record your piece and be like, all right, on to you, Nick, and then like it would just kind of like go from there, and then we just sort of put it together. And then we could like throw in music and stuff too.
Mm-hmm. We were all audio in the beginning.
Yes.
And so like right now people are able to watch us like record this, but it was totally audio, and we all called in because we were using TalkShoe. So we were all on our phones and just having this conversation with everybody. And that was hard, I think, in the early days too, like to make sure that we weren't talking over each other and everything. It's a little easier to like read people, like when you're like, oh, looks like Greg's about to talk, I'm gonna shut up right now or whatever. But when you're on the phone, you had no idea what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And I remember we also like did our own music in the early days as well. Like we just like hummed songs. So bad. But,
yeah. No, we definitely went through quite a few variations, but I mean, definitely I would say the current podcast crew as it is has been the longest standing podcast crew, because we've had various co-hosts that have gone in and out, but we've been pretty, I don't know exactly how long it's been since like Greg, Barry, everyone has kind of all been with it together, but it's been a while now, a few years at least.
Yeah, that's true. I know I started, I wasn't a part of the very first, the weekly one. I think I joined somewhere in the middle of that because I remember you guys invited me in because I was part of the forums and everything. And I joined in for a couple episodes and then became like a regular sort of thing. And, but I was there from the beginning of the NintendoFuse podcast. So that was cool. And I remember, who was it in the beginning? Was it me, you, and Nick only, or Mickey? Mickey was there too.
Mickey was there too. And I think it was just just us. Actually, I feel like Nick came in a little bit later even.
Okay.
I think it was just Mickey, me, and you initially.
Okay.
And then Mickey started to get busy with things, and so then I know Nick came in. We had Alex. We kind of floated.
Yeah. Jeremy popped in a few times.
Jeremy came in later as well. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I think Greg was the next to join, right? Am I remembering correctly? My brain is a little foggy. Greg, were you the next to join our team?
Yeah, I wasn't really on any podcasts with like Mickey or Jeremy at all, or Nick. So it was just me, you, and Hassan.
Okay.
For a while.
Nice. Do you remember when that was? Sorry, put you on the spot there because I have no idea when it was.
It's at least been before 2015 because I know I went back and saw like the Game of the Year stuff that we did for like 2015, and I think I believe the four of us were all on that. So it was at least before that.
At least I want to say it was like 2013 or 2014.
Okay.
Because I had joined in 2012 or end of 2011.
Nice. Hey, Nick is in the chat room and he is confirming that he came on later. So, hey, Nick, thanks for joining us. He's 29, by the way. Not 29 years old, but the name. Anyway, because it was all four of us when we went video, right? Like when we switched over to video, all four of us were here. Yeah, okay.
That was on the 100th episode we did that.
Right. And so Greg was there for at least a little bit before that. Barry, when did you come along?
See, I actually did my homework.
Go for it. Yeah, I mean, my homework was easy because I was there when Hassan started it.
Yeah, I actually the first time I even found out about NintendoFuse, actually was on Twitter, and I had followed Hassan for some of his other work, and he's like, "Oh yeah, we're doing this podcast. Come live tomorrow night." And I'm like, "That sounds interesting. I'll actually let me listen to that. Now you can call in." I'm like, "All right, sounds great." And that episode was actually episode number 92, which was June 18th, 2013, when you guys were talking about E3. And on that, I'm there as a caller. I come in, and I won't shut up. And like when I re-listen, I'm like, oh my god, just shut up already. I felt bad for you guys, so I'm sorry. But
apparently we wanted your voice even more.
Yeah, it's still going on now.
Yeah, I know. God, someone put a sock on now. But no, actually, I contacted Hassan about it after I said, "Hey, I'd like to join." He said, "Oh, the podcast is full, but here's Mickey." So I contacted Mickey, and we started talking. And he's like, "Yeah, you could join the team." Started doing reviews. Then back then we didn't do weekly podcasts. In fact, we didn't even do monthly podcasts. It was really sporadic. The next one was actually in August, so 2 months later, which I again called in on. The next one after that was 94 was November 17th. I was not there for that. I missed that one. And I officially joined with Alex. We both joined the exact same time, December 17th, 2013, which was the very first real best of. It was the best of 2013 awards show. So that was actually my first episode, 95, before we started doing the camera when we were still talk show. So it was a long time ago at this point. 6 years. 6 years. I've been with the team officially over 6 years, but with the podcast almost 6 full years, which is over half. So I'll take over half.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. For sure. Hey, if you're in the chat room right now, we would love to know when you started listening to the NintendoFuse podcast. So throw that in there. And if you're listening after the fact, watching after the fact, shoot us a message on social media or leave it in a comment. We'd love to know when you started first listening to the NintendoFuse podcast and maybe like how you actually found us originally. That'd be cool to hear about that. Jared said he forgot when he even began watching it, but I'm assuming he says watching it, so that's after we went with video as well. And hi, the Basement Dwellers. Basement Dwellers just joined as well. So let's talk about some of our favorite times. So what were some of your favorite episodes of the podcast? We have 184 to choose from. You could choose tonight if that's your favorite one, but 184 plus we'll say to choose from. So Hassan, I'm gonna go to you first because you've been there for almost all of 184 of them. So what were some of your favorite moments, favorite episodes at least?
Yeah, so I mean, there's been a bunch. I wrote down like three ones that kind of stood out a little bit for various reasons. One was I think the first interview we did, and it was either episode 4 or 5, but it was with Tommy Tallarico from Video Games Live. And I just remember it was cool because, we're just starting out, and we managed to get the interview, and Video Games Live, for those that haven't been, is a great show. They play video game music with an orchestra, and there's lights and videos and everything behind it. It's awesome. So it was cool to get to talk to him. I didn't expect to talk to him for 2.5 hours. That was something, and but it was great.
It's also our only mature rated episode of the podcast as well.
Right, that as well. Yeah.
After that, that's why we had to tell Barry to watch his language because Tommy just used them all right there.
Oh my God. I do remember that. That was early on. That was really early on. I dropped a curse, and I remember Steve just like, "We don't do that here." I'm like, "Sorry, watch your language." I get the stern talking to.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, that was definitely a really cool episode. Another one that was fun was I think the first one that we did where we were together in a room, and it was at the first PAX East, and it was myself, Steve, and Mickey, and then Roth actually joined in as well. And it was cool because it was like our first time recording like all together in a room, but then also being at PAX East, being surrounded by gamers and all that, like it was just a lot of fun, and it sort of started the trend of at certain events like E3 and stuff, we'd have people calling in from those events and kind of bringing that live, sort of thoughts on everything. So that was definitely a fun time.
It was. And I'm just gonna like piggyback because you're picking all my favorites as well. But I in addition to what you said, I think it was so cool that was the first time all of us had met each other in person as well, because we were pretty much just all internet friends at that point, and so that was the first time we'd met each other in person, and then also recording it live there too. I remember the funny thing about that episode was because TalkShoe did that whole like recorded live thing that we mimicked earlier today, and I remember Roth going, "Wait." Because we actually like said that live, and he's like, "Wait, that's you guys recording that?" I'm like, no, we're just joking.
That was great, and I remember at the time it was like the DSi was a thing, and there was that one DSiWare game where you like tilt the screen and look at it, but it was only out in Japan already, and Roth had like the Japanese system or something, so we're all like giving our first impressions of this thing, like he was showing it to us, and. It was just cool just to be there in person and kind of explore all that for sure.
Definitely.
And then the one other memory that I had is for the Game of the Year episodes, which they're all pretty memorable in their own way, but I just remember it was in like the 2015, 2016 time when we'd be doing the Game of the Year episodes, and it would come to me and be like, I don't have any games for the 3DS that I played, or I don't have any Wii U games, and we just have to like skip me because at the time it was just, I had like nothing that I was playing for those games, and then thankfully that changed in 2017, of course. But man, I just remember those times. It was it was hilarious, but it was also sad at the same time, just for the state of things. But it was fun.
The year that Hassan had no games to play at all.
Yeah.
I'm gonna refer to the chat just real quick. Low Expectations says first time listener. He's a guild leader from Barry's Final Fantasy 14 guild. So great to have you jumping in there. Let's see. Jakester said he started watching through Hassan, which was a couple years after the Wii U launch, and that his first podcast was around E3 2013. I already talked about Jared, forgot when it was, but let's see. I think that's the only one. But keep throwing those in there if you have you can remember when you first started listening to the podcast. We'd love to know those stories as well. So throw those in the chat. Barry, what are some of your favorite episodes? Thinking back over the last several years.
Well, that first one I called in on was one of my favorites, just because it was I was happy that someone actually like gave me a soapbox kind of to stand on. And I remember my wife was she was actually overseas. She was in England, and I sent her the link, and I was just like, when you get up, because the time zone, she was sleeping when we recorded. I said, listen to this at this time. And she was like, oh my God, what happened? I said, I don't know, just got lucky. And then obviously, my first podcast was, coming in on a Game of the Year awards was great. So that's always a special spot in my heart, just to be included. I think my overall best favorite episode, like one I've gone back and listened to at least 5 times, has to be our Game of the Year 2016. I think that is hands down the greatest, because none of us had anything to play because Nintendo did nothing that year, and we had to put on a podcast because we couldn't just not do something. So like Steve's nominating games from previous years, and we're scraping the bottom of the barrel of whatever we can to come out with. And it's funny looking back now, like I mentioned earlier, like 7 games came out today for the Switch. Like, Steve hasn't had time to play any AAA games. There's so much now that it's a whole different landscape. It just seems like it's another decade ago. Like what? No games to play? What are you talking about? So it's just fun. It's almost a relic of its time.
Mm-hmm.
I also enjoy the episode where I got to interview the CEO of Brain Seed Factory for Typo Man, because that was actually in a way like the very first industry talk. But Industry Talk didn't exist then, so it was a podcast. And I had never recorded using Google Hangouts before. So I'm like, oh, it'd be really cool just to make sure I'm looking at his camera. So I clicked his camera. And if you watch that, I don't appear at all on the podcast. I mean, you hear me, but you see nothing but him the entire time, because I'd never recorded and didn't know, oh, yeah, I can actually choose what's visible. And I had no idea. I just wanted to make sure I was looking at him, kind of like a one-on-one thing. And then when I went back, I'm like, oh, I'm an idiot. But but looking back, it's fun. And that was really one of those first experiences of like, hey, you know what? I get the opportunity to talk to so many great developers, and I'm still doing that today, and I love that, and for that I'm forever thankful. But yeah, that's why it holds a special spot there for me.
That's awesome. Yeah, and now it's turned into so many more interviews that you've been able to have, and its own thing, its own series on our YouTube channel now. So that's cool.
And I make sure to not click.
Yeah.
Ever since I click. So unfortunately, you see me on the visual ones too, but you can hide me. Just put a towel over half your screen. You're good.
Hey, one of the last ones, it's no video at all. So.
Yeah, one of the ones coming up is no video either.
Yeah.
But that's not my fault.
Greg, what are some of your favorite episodes?
Well, I really wish I would have gotten like a numerical homework list like you guys had prepared, but I do remember like listening to every single episode before I joined in hopes of hearing me being discussed like on like that weekly podcast thing. And then I still remember like when Nick was saying like, oh, Gamer Greg talked about like this, and like, oh, and that's very interesting, and like it led like that just like made my day, like just hearing like me being like I had a shout out like on the podcast before even being on this format, obviously. So that moment was very memorable for me, along with being my first episode. I just remember how nervous I was to be on. Was not much of a huge speaker, so definitely have come a long way since.
Nice.
Again, I wish I knew which number exactly, but it had to be only a few episodes before Barry if we were so like quarterly episodes. So
yeah. Nice.
Yeah, and then I also really liked one of our Game of the Years where I believe Hassan nominated the Happy Home Designer for the 3DS, because that was like one of the only games he had played.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. Was that the 2016 one? I think
like
Barry's muted, by the way. But
yeah, that was the 2016
Yeah.
one. That
Okay.
that is absolutely a
that's
a must watch, really,
yes,
just for
it's a
humor.
That's a classic. If I remember, I'm gonna have to make a note. I'm gonna have to add it in the little card. We'll send a card like somewhere over that direction. I'll add it in later if I can. So
Then finally, most recently, when Hassan came on for his first guest appearance, and he was all like wrapped up and hog-tied and everything. That's definitely very memorable. I'll always remember that. Like just the screen just changing over, and you just see someone struggling in the dark. Like
had to keep him locked up because I didn't want him to leave.
I'm glad I'm finally free now. Whew.
Hey, don't be too thankful. The night is young, my friend.
Those are great. I think the other ones that Hassan you didn't mention earlier, and because I think what they stand out to me is because just how cool it was, the experience, but how crazy it was that we were doing that, are the E3 episodes, where like the couple that Mickey and I were like out at E3 and I remember walking the streets, like coming back from the center and everything, and like talking about just things like right after the Nintendo press conference happened, and we just got done with it, and we were on the phone with you trying to record the podcast, and just cars are running by, and we're trying to record a podcast all at the same time as we're walking back to our hotel. But those definitely stand out as well, and I think back to I really liked when we started doing video. I think it was a cool monumental kind of moment 84 episodes ago, when we kicked off the video portion of that, and which was kind of crazy because a lot of people hadn't really seen our faces. Before that, we were just voices for a lot of people, and so that was kind of a cool moment for us to just to have a video version of the podcast, and for people to be able to interact with us beyond just calling in and the chat rooms and things like that. But that was a really cool moment, and cool episodes.
Did we do an episode just when me and you were in E3, or was that just like an impressions thing from that direct?
You didn't. You did. That was the one I called in on. You weren't in E3. You were just home from E3.
Okay.
Oh, so it was home from E3. Okay. So I know me and Steve like watched it, and we were giving commentary on a game we thought was like for the 3DS, but it was like for the Wii U or something. Like.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because
podcast.
It's because we were streaming it on 3G or whatever it was at the time, because we couldn't get the hotel Wi-Fi to work, and so we had to watch it like hotspotted from my phone, and the quality was so bad that we thought it was the 3DS game, but it wasn't. Like, was it Super Mario 3D World? I think might have been that one. Or yeah, I can't remember, but
it certainly seemed like it could be like something like that because it was 3D Land, obviously.
A lot of people were upset with 3D World because that was the stream where like they unveiled Mega Man and all that. It was like the first time they did the Nintendo Direct or whatever, and it was so bad. It was so bad.
Because we were watching it in our hotel room before we walked down there, and then we got to see the live reveal of Wii Fit Trainer.
Yep.
So yeah, those are cool. I mean, not really cool moments, but cool memories. Cool memories for sure. Let's talk about just some beyond episodes. What are some of our favorite memories over the years? And I'll go back to actually the very, very early days. And Greg, when you said what you said about when you first joined, that's how I felt when I first joined the Weekly Fuse podcast. Did I get that right? Weekly Fuse, I think it was, or Weekly.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think it was Weekly Fuse. Yeah.
Because like I'd never been on a podcast like that. I've been following Nintendo stuff for a long time, and of course was writing for the site and doing the forums and everything. But that I had like no idea what I was doing, and I remember joining in, and my roommate at the time was like, "Hey, how'd it go?" And like, I don't really know if I did well or not. I was really nervous and all that sort of thing. So yeah, that's one of my biggest memories is actually first joining and doing this sort of thing. And now I really love it, and it's been many years later. Actually 10 years, almost 11, I guess, if you count the other stuff. But yeah. Looks like Jakester says one of his favorite moments is when he started watching NintendoFuse was when Steve was showing off Mario Kart 8. Oh my gosh, I forgot about that. Oh, Mario Kart 8, that was awful. I'm so glad you're still around, Jakester. Because I didn't have a capture card at the time, and so I remember like pointing my like laptop camera, my webcam, like at the TV, and it was like it was a mess. Oh, that was a good memory, but it was awful. Mike says the one when he first started, that was he's talking about his capture cards. He's went through 3 capture cards since he started working with us at NintendoFuse. So, yeah, so yeah, Jake's just stopped laughing at me. It was awful, but I'm so glad you're still here. Hassan, what are some of your favorite memories over the years?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it was always like a fun thing to like try something new. And so to do the podcast at first was like a cool new experience. But it was always something that like, we always tried to innovate and do different things for a variety of reasons. Sometimes it was based on like our schedule and just trying to fit things in. But other times it was just, let's see how this plays out. And, like one scenario being, like I said in the past, where we would pre-record certain segments and push them together. So that kind of brought about a different feel and style to the podcast. But then also when we really, when we're making the podcast live and interactive, is not something that a lot of other podcasts do, where people could actually call in and be, in the chat and that sort of thing. So whenever we would get a caller on the podcast, like, was always really exciting and a little bit like
so dangerous.
You never knew what was going to happen. So there's a couple moments where I had to hit mute real quick. Yeah. So, but you kind of got to live on the edge a little. It was exciting. And we got Barry out of it too. So it worked out in the end, right?
I don't know. The jury's still out on that.
Yeah.
Oh, I think
I have one word for that. Video games.
That's great. I think my favorite was when the crazy religious cult thing that called in or whatever one time, and they were like screaming and everything, and I was like, find the mute button.
And there were times when TalkShoe would be delayed, so I'd hit mute, and it wouldn't mute right away, and then I'd hit it again, and it would unmute it again. I'm like, oh my god, what's going on?
Yeah,
it was crazy, but that was fun, kind of making it interactive. And then, of course, as Steve said, once we went to video and just trying new things like that, just to make it, because the whole podcast from the beginning for me was always about getting connected more with the community that we have here. And so making it interactive, making it more personal by showing, our faces, that sort of thing, just kind of has made it exciting to be a part of.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, this really spawned out of us just wanting to talk video games with each other, and we thought, hey, let's record it and see if anybody else listens to it. And it was a cool way to really interact with our community. Jared says in the chat that he's being a bit selfish. I don't think it's a bit selfish. We don't think so. But his favorite moment was when he won the Play NYC tickets. So that's really cool. Barry, speaking of Play NYC, Barry, who is our resident Play NYC aficionado, what are some of your favorite memories over the years?
So many. I remember that whole beginning phase when it was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get free games, I'm gonna do reviews, and there's no downside to this. And my first review was Urban Trial Freestyle on big 3DS, which was a really fun game. I'm like, this is a great start. And then the next game that came through the emails was like, who wants this game, Rhythm Core Alpha 2? I'm like, I'll take it. DSi game. And I opened it up, and it's just a music maker. And I'm like, the hell am I going to do with this? So I had to somehow make music, and I was like, maybe I shouldn't just accept anything thrown my way. It was a real eye-opener. Maybe I should be a little bit more picky. But it was fun, just trying to figure it out, try to overcome that hurdle. I like, definitely some of the game chats we've done over the years. There's that one, God, now I started drawing a blank of the plane game that you and I did, Steve, and that apparently the developer was not very happy with.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Our review of it, because he started yelling at us.
He did. He's like, did you actually even do the tutorial? I'm like, yeah, it didn't help.
Yeah, that was an interesting experience. And then, of course, I can't not mention the whole Trine experience.
Ooh, yes.
Because for a preface, I played the original Trine on the 360 because I used to get all the Xbox Live Arcade games, and I hated it. So Steve's like, guess what, guys? I got Trine 2 codes. Let's play it. I got 3 codes total, one for me. So I got roped into it. Mike got roped into it. So I think it was after a podcast. It was
right after a podcast, yeah.
Right after a podcast. We finished recording at like 11 o'clock Eastern. We played until like 5 a.m. to beat this game. And during that period, because Steve was recording, there was a time where we lost Steve because we were using Skype. So it was just me and Mike. We had no idea if we were still recording. Steve was still playing, but we had no idea what was going on. My gamepad battery was dying because I was playing here in the office, and I had to plug it in. So now I was on TV, and while I was playing on TV, I had like my headset thrown over my desk, and I was like half hanging like this, like at 5 a.m. trying to play. It was a mess. Never again. And of course, today is the day Trine 4 came out, ironically. But no,
we're gonna play it after the podcast, right?
No, I'm done with that series. That was enough for me.
Hey, we have 4 people. It's 4 players.
Definitely the experiences of being able to give things away. Getting to meet Dan from Playcrafting, who's a sweetheart, and building up that friendship, and just getting the opportunity to give people the Play NYC tickets for 3 consecutive years, all 3 years that it's been going on. And actually, it was funny just seeing him this year, and someone mentioned me, and he just turned to me and just pointed. He's like, he's OG, like if he's got a problem, I've got a problem, and it really made me feel good. Like, oh my God, like. I'm just a podcast host, But it was great, and we did something with Video Games Monthly. That was a great thing to be able to do that too, and just to give things to people, especially during the holidays. it's just awesome.
Yeah.
And just all those memories, just coming on, just doing I remember the one year we did E3 predictions, but they had to be like all crazy and insane. And we all did like little videos and stuff, and some of the stupid things we've done over the years, but they were fun, and I think that's the important thing. It's this whole podcast has been a passion project from the beginning with Hassan and Mickey and you, Steve, and I think it continues as a passion project with us, and I think that alone is testament that we can go 10 years total as a passion project.
Yeah, for sure. And like Hassan said earlier, it's about the community. And if you guys we'd still be doing this probably, but the reason that it has any sort of traction at all is because of you. And we love interacting with you guys and everything. So thanks so much for our audience sticking around for 10 years as well. And some of you guys beyond 10 years. Greg, what's some of your favorite memories over the last several years?
I definitely remember that one repeat caller that we had a lot. He was like, "Hey guys," and Barry would always have to go on mute, and he's like, "So great to hear y'all." I got away from the wife for a few minutes to call in.
That's true. What was that guy's name?
I didn't remember his name, but I think he was from New Jersey.
He was
obviously.
from Jersey.
He was from New Jersey. Yeah, I feel so bad. It was Matt.
I think it was Matt. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Matt,
come back. We miss you, man.
Yeah, how about the fact that whenever we did talk show and we had callers, I was the only one that could send the audio out, so I had to literally sit there with my phone like this, being as quiet as possible.
That's
couldn't
true.
laugh because I wanted only their audio to come out.
It is sad we had to cut that portion of our podcast, but you can still. Speaking of which, sorry to cut you off, Greg. I'll let you continue in just a second. I feel like a whole Kanye moment here, but we do. But still want you guys to send in videos and audio as well. I can, as you saw with Mickey's video earlier, we can totally throw those in there, and so just send them in like a private video or via email or something like that. Get a hold of us. You can send them to podcast@nintendofuse.com, and that'll come to us, and we can use them in a future show. So even though you can't call in live, you can join us in the chat, but we would love to have you send in video questions or just thoughts and stuff like that as well. So anyhow, sorry, go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, so outside that awesome call that we had several times, I mean, I do remember the one interview with like the Video Games Live that was really great. He just did all the talking. I just remember I barely even spoke that night, but it was just really great just to be able to be a part of that one. Let's see. There's just been a lot of like very good stuff to remember. Just like the different like callers, like that one guy I referenced earlier, they just said like video games. Like he just like just said it very lightly and like didn't make any sense. And then obviously like the cult people joining the chat and stuff like that too, like the random people in the TalkShoe chat. So yeah, so definitely lots of fun times there. I still remember when I joined NintendoFuse, like Jeremy was doing the ambassador game contest, and like me and some like the people were going like neck to neck and Wrecking Crew high score. And as Steve explained, you have to like take a video. You guys recorded the video of it, so we had to like use our phone and still try to manage to play on 3DS at the same time without a capture card or anything like that. So.
Right. Yeah, that was when Utsi or whatever his name, Utsi, I think was you and him were like at the top of the charts. I feel like most of the time.
Yeah, and I still remember doing Jeremy's Zelda 2 challenge. I had the best score over there. So the low score competition.
Yeah. Nice.
I still couldn't believe I managed to beat a Thunderbird with only like 3 hearts and like 5 swords or whatever it was.
That's great. One of the things that I remember that was slightly connected to the podcast were, I don't know if you guys remember our scavenger hunts that we used to have on the site that involved the website, the blog, and the forums and everything. I'm pretty sure Nick Servenum was at the helm of that. I think he was one of the ones that put that all together. And lo and behold, we have a video from Nick. And so take it away, Nick.
Hello and long time no talk. My name is Nick Overacker, and I was a member of the NintendoFuse podcast way back at the beginning in 2009. Veteran fusers might remember me by the name Sir Venom, a name that I've completely left behind in the past decade. Wow, 10 years. It feels like I was in another life. So much has happened since then, and it's so awesome that the podcast has survived through all of it. So let me tell you guys where I've been all this time. In 2012, I decided to leave my old construction job to go to university. I was the first generation of my family to go to college, and so far, still the only one. I majored in computer engineering, and I immediately threw myself into my studies. In my first year, I joined a robotics club with no prior experience, and I led a team to 3rd place in an international competition. With confirmation like this, I knew that electronics was the right path for me. On a whim, I added a Japanese minor to my degree plan in my 2nd year. I didn't realize it at the time, but this would completely change my life. At the start of my junior year, the president of the Japanese Students Association came to my class to recruit new officers. Normally they would recruit Japanese students, but this time there were no full-time Japanese students to recruit. All of the old ones were about to graduate, and all the new ones were staying for 1 year or less. So, I volunteered to help. They asked me to join a meeting that week, and before I had even arrived, they had already met, voted, and decided that I would be the next president of JSA. I had no idea this was going to happen. I thought I was going to be a treasurer or secretary, and now the whole weight of the organization was on my shoulders. I accepted. I made some of my best friends in JSA, and my experiences with them made me interested in studying abroad myself. So in 2016, I applied to every scholarship I could find, and I took a 1-year intensive language study course at Shinshu University in Matsumoto, Japan as an exchange student. I followed this up by visiting friends across China and Korea, and then I returned to the US to start my new job at a small engineering consulting firm. Sometime later, one of my old professors from Japan reached out to me and urged me to apply for a position at a certain company in the Japanese semiconductor industry. And, well, I start in 3 weeks. So much happens in 10 years. I could rattle on for hours and hours, but I'm not going to do that to you. What I do want to say is to take chances. Do what excites you. Find where it takes you. In 10 years, you'll look back at all the good and all the bad, and you'll be surprised how far you've come. And so, to the audience and crew of the NintendoFuse podcast, keep putting out the best versions of yourselves. Congratulations on 10 years, and make every year the best so far. Have an awesome day.
Oh, Nick, so great to hear from you and to see what you've been doing. Like, I don't know about you, but I think you guys need to flood the comments asking Nick to come back. Because that video was amazing. I told him when he sent it in, I was like, Nick, this is so good. I want you back, man. So we'll see. We'll see if he's able to join the team again. Love to hear what he's been doing over the years. It was so good. Yeah, we got one more video later on in the podcast. We do have some news to discuss because news keeps coming out. Yeah, we can't just put it all off. We want to talk about memories for like hours and hours and hours, but we do have some news to talk about tonight. But before we do jump into all that news, do you guys have any last thoughts about celebrating and thinking back through the years? Anything that you haven't shared yet that you would like to share? So I'll just kind of throw it out there for anybody. Jump in if you have some ideas or thoughts, and before we move on to the news.
I'll go on, Hassan. Take it.
I just want to say, well, thank you to everyone that's listened and just been a part of this, and also thank you to all of you, Steve, Barry, Greg, everyone, and all the co-hosts that have been a part of this to kind of keep making this a reality, and to the three of you that have carried on even after I left the podcast, because it's been awesome kind of seeing this community grow and be what it is, and the podcast wouldn't be as special as it is without the community. So thank you to everyone.
Yeah. We'd love to have you back.
Yeah, I'll let you out more, I promise.
That's really
I was gonna say the similar things. Thank you to all of our listeners for just being here and for continuing to support us. It's very much appreciated. Thank you to Steve and Hassan and Greg and to Mickey for giving me a chance and letting me come on and join the family, because I appreciate it greatly. And thank you to all the developers that I've had the opportunity to talk to. You guys are all great, and all the YouTubers and composers and just everybody. They've just been awesome. Everyone's been so welcoming and open, especially to you don't have millions and millions and millions of views. Okay, well, we're not going to talk to you. Like, no, like, hey, let's chill, let's talk. And I made some really good friends out of some of them, and that wouldn't have been possible had I never joined the NintendoFuse team. So I'm forever grateful for that. Plus, I would have never met you guys, and that would have been a hole in my heart. So thank you.
Cool.
Yep, definitely very much thanks to Steve and Hassan, because they definitely encouraged me to join and come on, and really enjoyed being a part of this for such a long time. So never thought I'd be able to review games and be on the team, and then I got an acceptance thing out of the blue from Jeremy and Mickey. So definitely very much appreciate being a part of the team. So thank you guys.
Cool. Yeah, and I'll just echo those. Thank you guys so much. I mean, like I said earlier, this wouldn't be happening without our community. And Hassan, I think you said it great. I mean, this is all about the community, and so thank you guys for. I mean, you guys joined us because of the community. Barry and Greg and Hassan and I met because of the community, and so it's kind of birthed all out of that. And we've met so many of you guys, and having you guys tune in every other week now in the chat, and just getting to know you guys and talking with you. Beyond that, now in our Discord channel, which is kind of server is kind of like the new forums, I guess, if you will, and so that's been really cool to connect with more of our community and keep growing that, and it's been pretty awesome. So Nick is saying actually in the chat that he's thought of NintendoFuse, the blog, the forum, the podcast a lot over the years, and Nick was a huge part of that, and so thank you so much. And Jared, thanks for having you as part of the team and as a fan. Yeah, Jared's written some articles and reviews and stuff for us as well. So yeah, it's so big, and know that we are looking for more writers and people to join our team and stuff. Like we've said, there's actually more games than ever now, and there's so much to cover. And so if you're listening or watching and you'd like to join the NintendoFuse team, know that we are looking for more writers, and we'd love to have you join the team to review some games, write some articles about news that's popping up, and we'd love to have you. So make sure you contact us on social media, Discord. You can email us, all that stuff. But speaking of that news, let's chat about some of the stuff that's been happening lately. A little game called Mario Kart Tour come out just a couple weeks ago, and we've all had the opportunity, I think, to play it because it's a free-to-play game, and a lot of people have had the opportunity to play it. The biggest mobile downloaded game for Nintendo, over 20 million downloads. And I believe that's probably like close to 25 million now. Who knows? But I think the last stat that I heard, over 20 million downloads. So I thought we could do like a little mini game chat here and talk about our experiences with Mario Kart Tour. So let's just kind of go around the horn again. Hassan, what are your initial thoughts of Mario Kart Tour?
Does that sum it up right there? It's Mario Kart Tour is very similar to Animal Crossing Pocket Camp in my mind, where both incredible franchises that I love dearly, but I'm just not really interested much in those games. I tried Mario Kart Tour. The controls are just not the same as the console game. It's just awkward. I know that you can there's a couple control options, but none of them felt right to me. The game looks nice, and some of the courses are kind of interesting in how they were able to sort of remaster or at least bring to the game. So I mean, it's Mario Kart on your phone, but it just it's just not the same. And then of course I honestly haven't played enough to hit any kind of a paywall type thing, but from everything I've heard about it, it's a similar situation to like Pocket Camp, where you kind of get to that point where you feel like if you really want to do much more, you're gonna have to pay money. And I've heard a whole bunch of issues with the loot box type stuff and trying to get all the characters, and that just kind of has put me off from wanting to play more of it. So it's kind of a shame that Mario Kart, one of my all-time favorite franchises, this game just not really doing it for me.
Yeah. Oh, man. Greg, let's go to you next. What's your thoughts about Mario Kart Tour?
My gosh, those controls.
Oh, man. Ugh.
I am not a fan of those swiping controls to steer. I even tried to do some more races today, and I just kept hitting the walls on 150cc, and I had so much trouble trying to turn. I mean, I'm sure if I really wanted to dedicate myself to the game, I surely could, but I really don't like the control scheme and that kind of stuff. So I've only done a couple cups, and yeah, as Hassan was saying, it looks amazing, but the controls are really what's taking me back.
Yeah. I totally agree. Yeah. Barry, what do you think about the game?
At first, I was like, all right, this is pretty cool. And then I hit that first kind of paywall, and I'm like, I put it down. I came back to it a little bit. And slowly but surely, I was working through it. New York Comic Con actually helped quite a bit because it was, waiting in line for panels and for autographs and stuff. I'm like, I'm just gonna at least play that. It's fun, but it's really hard to get excited about it when you have games like Dragalia, and Dragalia's like, hey, guess what, guys? We're giving you 100 free summons. And we're giving you 5,000 Wormite, which is another 4 summons for free, just for our anniversary. Have fun. And Mario Kart's like, we're going to do a login bonus that's only going to last 10 days, and then there's no more login bonus for this tour. And we're going to give you maybe 3 gems at a time, and maybe over the course of those 10 days, you might get one tenfold. And it's like, that just doesn't sit well with me. How can one Nintendo game be like, here, play our game, summon, have fun with the game? You could do so much free to play. And the other one being Mario Kart, being like, oh, here's some crumbs. Maybe if you eat enough crumbs, you'll get a meal. Like, no, what are you doing? How do you not have a constant login bonus? Like, that is like your bread and butter with any type of mobile game is a login bonus. Get them coming in every single day. To not even have that after a certain amount of days, it's just like, really? Like, I understand special bonuses. Like, plenty of games, Fire Emblem Heroes does it, Dragalia does it, where it's like, oh, here's an anniversary bonus, or here's a summer bonus, or whatever, for like 10 days while you log in. But there's always a dedicated login bonus every day. How do you not have that? So I feel like there's a lot of missteps. Multiplayer, of course, not being in there. Do I think it could get better? Yes, absolutely. It depends on the developers of this game. I don't know who they are. If they listen to the fans. I think if you look at all successful gacha games, all successful mobile games, the most successful ones are the ones that evolve with the fan base. Fire Emblem Heroes changed a lot, even when I was playing it, because they listened to the fans. Dragalia, when it launched versus now, a year later, is a totally different game. They changed so much, including taking things out of the gacha pool that people didn't want there. Those are the ways to keep people playing your game. These developers need to do that, or all those millions and millions of downloads are going to trickle to no one logging in anymore, no one spending money. Even that gold pass is just a ridiculous slap in the face. I mean, that whole thing. You know what? I'll be honest with you. I actually got the gold pass, which sounds shocking, right? I got the gold pass, and here's why I did it. The event is ending today. I think today's the last New York event, and then tomorrow starts the Tokyo. All those gift boxes you get, if you notice, there's 4 gifts. 2 that are locked, the 2 that are free and 2 that are locked to the Gold Pass. The Gold Pass has a 2-week trial period. Cancel anytime. So since it's the end of the tour, I signed up for it for my 2 free weeks just to get those gifts that I earned. And then I'm going to get as many gifts as I can before those 2 weeks end, and then I'm going to cancel.
Okay.
So they're not getting any money from me, and I'm doing it just to get free stuff that I've earned. Because like I got like Metal Mario as one of the characters, and he's like an ultra rare, and I'm like, damn it, I want that. If I can get that for free, at least it would help me out. So I did that.
Yeah. I everything that you guys have said, totally agree. Because the things I would say, like on top of that, like I don't know. To me, the gacha stuff and all the transactions and stuff, like all the paid and in-app purchases and everything, like just confuse me. I think it hasn't made me like feel like frustrated about the game, because honestly, I've been playing it. I've never once have I been tempted to spend money on it at all, because I think I have enough game there to not even be close to tempted to spend any money on it. Because like there's a couple times I find the characters that I want, I'll just play with whoever I've got and whatever carts I earn naturally, and no big deal. And I know I'm not able to get as many multipliers and points and everything as I could, but who really cares? Because as long as I can get to the top 1% or one top tier thing, I get all I need to get in that competitive thing. And so there's no point in me spending money, and I really don't get the point of the subscription thing. I'm like, it's not worth it at all. It's more than a Nintendo Online membership for like a year for your Switch. Like that's crazy. And again, like you said, Greg, the controls are awful, like just so bad. And because you can't, like, you have to pick different things, and I haven't tried the motion, but I've heard they're really bad too. And so I just do the drift one, but you can't just naturally turn, so you have to only drift. And so it's like basically being forced to only drift as you go through Mario Kart things. Like, the game looks beautiful. I'll say that. Like, I think it looks really good on the system. I really wish they would have turned it horizontal, because like playing a racing game only vertical is ridiculous. Like, I want to be able to see the whole like track ahead of me, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's another thing too. Oh, go on, Hassan.
I was just say the problem that I have with the gacha system is there are ways to do free-to-play games right. And so something like, in my opinion, something like a Fortnite, completely free-to-play, great. If you want to spend money, you can on cosmetic things that don't affect the game at all. And to be honest, I've spent a crazy amount of money in Fortnite, and I probably shouldn't have spent as much as I have, but I continue to do so because they release cool stuff. It doesn't affect the game; it's just fun, right? But in Mario Kart, I'm discouraged from spending money because I feel like I feel cheated, or like it just feels wrong almost, because the way that they do it is the characters in the game. It's random which ones you unlock, but some characters on some stages will get more items or special things. Like, so you have advantages depending on which characters you have. If you spend money in the game, you're going to be able to get, all these characters faster. And I know it's not as big of a deal right now when you're technically only playing by yourself, but you start adding in multiplayer and all that stuff, and then you have an unfair advantage to people that can spend money in the game. And that's where I have an issue with the gacha system. So if it's something that doesn't affect the gameplay, whatever. But this does make a difference.
That's a good point. I didn't think about multiplayer when that plays, and that does change things. Sure.
Yeah, that's the thing with any gacha. You're gonna have that. Fire Emblem and Dragalia are the same thing. Certain adventurers are better for certain events. The difference there, at least, I don't think Fire Emblem has multiplayer in terms of PvP. Dragalia, it's all PvE. So even if you don't have the best character, you can use a secondary character. So other people will have good characters, and just together you have enough might to win. So you're not like, oh man, I really need to spend money. And they give you enough free units that what the free units will do. They'll get you through the game. This doesn't. And the other thing I was going to say is there's also a leveling up system. And gacha games always have leveling up systems where adventurers and in this case the drivers, the cars, and the gliders can level up. But they put a cap on it. There is a daily cap on how much you can level up in this game. You can only level up so much, and then it's like, nope, you can't level up anymore, which again discourages playing again. It's like there are times I've hit that cap, and I'm like, well, I kind of want to just do the next cup, but I might as well wait till tomorrow, and at least I can get something out of it. And you never want to discourage your players from playing your game.
That's true. Yeah, actually, Clash Royale has a couple caps on like how much you can donate and how much you can earn, I think, from playing as well. And I've hit those caps a couple times, and I'm like, what's the point? Like, do you not want me to play this game anymore? Okay, I'll put it off till tomorrow. Yeah.
I know that was our original complaint with Fire Emblem, but then they had changed it. So.
Dragalia never had a cap. They're like, just go to town if you want.
Well, no, there's the stamina cap in
stamina. That's the difference, is you can't play as much. But there's ways to circumvent that too.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's just like there is in Fire Emblem. You can use stamina potions.
What I'm saying is you could always level. Like in Dragalia, you could take a character from 1 to 80, no problem. In Mario Kart, you can't. You can't get a driver to max level in a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the last thing I wanted to touch on. Is I didn't really like not being able to pick my driver. I mean, I've always liked to use Yoshi in Mario Kart, and to have it be up to random chance to see if I get it was not very good to see. So
yeah,
yeah. Can we talk about, this is a Mario Kart game that doesn't have Luigi, and also you're not guaranteed to have Mario. In fact, you can spend, I think it's like $10 or $15.
It's 20.
Is it 20?
It's $20
to guarantee you to get Mario in Mario Kart.
Yeah.
But Luigi is on the title screen.
I'm sure they're saving him for like a Luigi
DLC.
Halloween type thing, but it's gonna be another $20 right there. Like,
yeah, but Diddy Kong's back.
Yeah. I actually just got him.
Did you?
That's one of those things. They actually have some new moves, like some new specials. Like the bubble, and Diddy Kong has like the banana cannons and stuff. So they are adding some new things. It'll be interesting to see what elements will be brought into the next Mario Kart 9.
Yeah. It reminds me a lot of the Mario Kart GP, the arcade games. I don't know if you've played those, but where different characters have different bonuses or different items and stuff that they can shoot. It reminds me a lot of that. And I actually expected, and maybe it might happen when you do the multiplayer, to be able to take your picture and like have it next to your thing, because that's what the Mario Kart GP games do. But
those are actually good.
Right. Well, yeah, that's very true. Yeah, even it is cool to see like some of the old tracks come back, because there's a few that we've not seen remade in modern graphics and everything. That's pretty cool. But the new track, what did you guys think of the New York track? Like, I was like, myself.
Pretty.
It was pretty, yeah. But as for a Mario Kart track, is yeah.
They could have done so much with that. There's so much in that city they could have drawn from. They use Central Park and Times Square, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The one thing that I think is interesting about this game that I hope they incorporate in the next Mario Kart is instead of like a traditionally a mirror mode, which like sort of like is a reflection of what you do, but in this game I heard that you can unlock versions of courses where you basically drive it back in reverse.
Yeah.
So it's the same course, but you're driving back through it. So that would be kind of cool to implement in future console Mario Kart games too.
That's true.
Some of those things they have actually add different elements to them in reverse because they're impossible. Like if there was normally a cliff you came down to go backwards, they actually put like ramps and stuff for you to shoot up. So there is some love and care put into this, but there's also very few tracks. I don't know how many. Maybe there's like 8 tracks or something. It doesn't really feel like there's a lot. You see the same ones in reverse or different versions. I do like the little challenges they do at the end of each cup where it's like, drive through the rings or hit all the Goombas. Those are cool. Those remind me of the event mode of DS, but they're short and over really quickly, and like that's it.
Yeah, especially the one where you just have to hit the boost on and it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't like going back to the controls a little bit, but it's just so limiting. I think the whole time, like you can't take the same shortcuts that you normally do. You can't even run off the road half the time.
You can turn off driver assist.
I guess you can, yeah. But still, it's like the game is not. I think that I heard someone else talk about it, and I totally resonated with it. And I apologize if you're listening later and you're like, hey, you didn't reference me. I can't remember who actually said this, But they said it's so close to an actual Mario Kart game. It's why I feel gypped. Because like the other games like Mario Run and even like the Fire Emblem and other games are like it's a different experience than a regular game like that. But because this is so close, I expect it to be at the same par, and because it's not even close to the same level, that's why I feel upset about it. I think most of all. Because I expect it to be a fantastic game. Like if they fix the controls, if they allowed you to actually maybe use an actual controller with it, which would be crazy because now you can use a Xbox or a PS4 controller with your iPhone, which would be playing Mario Kart with a PS4 controller is just mind blowing. But anyhow, if you could do controls, I'd even be okay if they kept it vertical only. If they gave me better controls, and I think. Fix the whole money in-app purchase thing. I don't know what it needs to look like, but fix it. It just needs to be fixed. I think if those two things were I'd be okay with it, and I'd actually play it a little more. But right now, the only reason I play it is because I kind of want to get to the top of the charts and the competitive things. But as soon as I reach that, I didn't move on. I'm far from beating all the courses because all I needed was get competitive, and I want to see how I can do against other people, and that's about all I got.
See, one of the things I want to see is like when Dragalia, and I'm referencing a lot because it's the main gacha game I play, but when that started, you were kind of thrown to the wolves, and they realized afterwards that every player would have a little bit leg up if they had a guaranteed 5-star adventure. Just make sure, even if you're free to play, at least it gives you a little bit of an edge. So they did. They said everybody who starts the game now will get a 5-star adventurer pack, and everyone who started the game before that will get one in their delivery box. So it's still a gacha. It's not like you can pick the character, but at least it's a guaranteed 5-star. If you play the game for a while, you could get a dupe. But if you're a brand new player, hey, I'm guaranteed to get an elite unit. They could easily do that. Hey, here's a voucher, guaranteed to get one of the elite units, one of like the holographic ones, like just to give you more of an advantage. They give you one free character to start with. That's great. You need a character, but hey, you know what? This would be really cool to make you feel like, yeah, I got this really hard to get character right off the bat. There we go. Let me go. It's more encouragement. It's saying, hey, we actually care about you and want you to have an enjoyable experience because this is a video game. And instead, they're just like, have fun.
Yeah.
Here's 3 gems. You can't do shit with it. You can't even buy one person with it because it's not 5.
Yeah. Jared's saying in the chat that one of the things that's kind of annoying is that it's isn't really online. So getting hit by a CPU posing as a player is a little more infuriating than actually getting hit by an actual player.
It still infuriates me.
Yeah.
That blue shell right at the end still infuriates me, wherever it comes from.
Yeah, it's so true. Like, I feel like my experience with it is so random. Sometimes I have like a great run and I play the exact same way the next time, and it goes totally different. And I know at some level that's Mario Kart, but I feel like, I don't know, something's different about that experience this time around. So. But wow, all right. So yeah, I guess we kind of recommend it because it's free, but we're not too big fans of it. So let's move on. Kind of a rapid fire through the rest of these main big news pieces that have come out over the last couple weeks, and especially the last couple days. One of the things that I thought was interesting was that 3 Joy-Con patents have recently popped up from about 2016, I think, is when they were filed by Nintendo. One of them is like a wider. People have like actually like put some drawings together based on the patents, and one seems to be like a wider Joy-Con. One looks like I think there was just control pad and no analog sticks, and then one looked more like a Wii remote on both sides as well. So some people are saying, oh, maybe we're actually going to see different style Joy-Cons like that. I actually am from the camp that I think we're just seeing patents because Nintendo wants to throw out patents for every idea they have, so just in case they do make it. But what are you guys' thoughts on that? Do you actually think these are going to be Joy-Cons that we see, or do you think it's no big deal and we really shouldn't even spend much time on it? What do you think, Hassan?
Well, I mean, you know me. I would love more Joy-Cons. I mean, blue Joy-Con, purple, orange Joy-Con, Dragon Quest Switch just for the Joy-Cons. So I would, of course, love more types of Joy-Cons, but I'm kind of in the same boat, Steve, where I think these just seem like smaller changes that, like, I don't know how much more marketable it may be or not. I don't know if this one is one you're referring to, or if this is something from that's older. But I thought I saw one that also had like a Joy-Con that was kind of like bent a little bit, or it was like. Oh
yeah, that was a different thing, I think. Yeah, but okay. But yeah, I don't think it was in this set of patents that just showed up. But yeah, I don't know. Actually, if we talked about this, I can't remember. I feel like we probably did in a previous podcast. But yeah, I think that one maybe holds a little more, potential.
Yeah, like if it's stuff that has more of a design difference that would be worth, kind of a release. Like even things like the ones that have, people have talked about. Nintendo's going to release a D-pad on a Joy-Con one day. I think we're kind of far past that point of like they just put on the Switch Lite just to have it, but like, I think Nintendo's in the boat of just kind of keeping things consistent at this point.
Yeah. What do you think, Barry?
I do not think we're going to see these Joy-Cons, and the reason for that is they seem to be moving away from the actual Joy-Con like styles. And what I mean by that is, like, if you look at like the NES controllers, they were Joy-Cons. And then you look at the Super Nintendo ones, and they're like, oh, they're not Joy-Cons anymore. And it just seems more like they want to differentiate. And if you really want bigger Joy-Cons, I can't recommend those Demon X Machina ones enough. Those things are awesome. That's your additional Joy-Cons if you want like turbo and stuff like that. But that's the thing is, I think if they release a Joy-Con that is specialized for a particular game, unless they bundle it with that game, people aren't going to be interested. And if you're talking about, oh, I'm going to be traveling with it, I have to use this Joy-Con with it. Do I really want to take the game and these Joy-Cons, but I prefer the other Joy-Cons for all my other games? It just becomes cumbersome. And then what about people who, I play docked, I want to play with the Pro Controller. No, you got to use the dog bone thing now. It's like, no, I don't think they're going to. I think these are just, look, we had some ideas tossed around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What do you think, Greg?
Greg's not even caring.
I think he's muted. Yeah, there he goes. All right.
And yeah, I keep muting and unmuting myself just like the problem we had before. Okay. Yeah, I really don't think they're really doing too much with rechanging the Joy-Cons. I mean, I was just kind of looking at some of the older patents, and that might have just been original designs that they had in place. But I don't know. I don't really see them making too many changes. I mean, obviously we have like the Labo. They can't really just suddenly make the Joy-Con much different, or wouldn't work with that. So, I mean, obviously they can just cut a new piece of cardboard, but that'd be kind of hard to send to everybody that's already purchased it. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really see. I just see it as just like old designs that they were looking at doing, and they just had patents on it just in case and whatnot. I don't really see too much going on with that. Just whatever. So.
Yeah. And Jakester in the chat also agrees with you. He says that he doesn't think these patents are a very big deal. Jared is all about Zelda Joy-Cons. He's like, give me some of those and I'll buy. But and he doesn't count the batteryless ones. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens, but we're doubtful. I think that anything like that's going to happen. But we did get the SNES controllers that came out. And I am still frustrated with Nintendo for kind of just basically shadow dropping these things and not even giving me a chance to order because they didn't really even tell me with enough time. And then they made them limited edition, basically. And like I have no option. I didn't get any. So I'm frustrated by this. Did any of you actually get an SNES controller? Oh gosh,
Yes.
Hassan's reaching for his right now. How in the world did you get it?
Yeah.
I saw somebody talk about it on Twitter. Because yeah, you're right. The annoying thing was they announced it at first and they're like coming soon, and you're like when? And thankfully I happened to check Twitter at the right time, and then there it is. But yeah, it was really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was on Facebook and someone posted in a gaming group I'm in, like, hey, they're live, and I'm like, okay, gotta go right to the computer, get my 2. And I saw so many people, not so many, but I saw a few people post like afterwards, like with their box of 4, like, who else bought these just to sell? $70, who wants one? I'm like, I hate you so much.
Yeah.
Like, even though I have them, I feel bad for people.
Yeah, I went to eBay just the other day. I was like, okay, I'm going to check and see how much they are. And yeah, they're like $60, $70 at the least, but most of them are going for over 100 now. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, thanks a lot,
It's
Nintendo.
It's limited.
Aren't the NES controllers still available? Like, aren't they? Or am I wrong? Like, are they going to bring back more stock of the Super Nintendo?
They will.
Yeah.
For the holidays. They're strategically waiting for the holidays.
Yeah, of course. Greg, did you get any, or are you in the camp with me that totally missed out on it?
Yeah, I'm totally in your camp. I did not see anything about them going live or anything at all. So I didn't know that they could sell out, but it made it seem like they would have plenty for everybody. But
You have to remember this. Nintendo had at one point on the Wii U eShop, Earthbound was sold out. The digital version of Earthbound was sold out. So if Nintendo can sell out of a digital product, they're going to sell out a physical product. You can't expect anything logical when it comes to Nintendo at this point.
Yeah.
But I didn't even see anything saying like the NES ones were ever sold out. I mean, I know like I made a big deal to get them pre-ordered like the day like they announced it, so I'd have it in time for Christmas. But I didn't see a single news article saying, "Oh, they're completely gone. Sorry, sorry, Charlie, go buy them on eBay or anything like that." So
my guess is that NES ones probably didn't sell or won't sell as well as the SNES ones. Number one, they're more expensive because you had to buy 2, and then this time around you could buy 4. So like people just bought them up just to resell them or just to collect them. Which limiting it to 4 is kind of that was annoying as well. Like I see it limiting, but like limit it to 2. You only really need 2 anyhow. You can't play 4-player games on it.
Correct.
So just limit it to 2 per person, and then maybe if it is limited edition, then you can release later, and then you can maybe add to it later. But like just like a Black Friday deal, like only so many per person, and then we have it left over, then you can add more to your collection. But yeah, it was kind of annoying. Have either of you guys actually played with them yet? Have you tried them, or are they still in the box? Okay, so
Mine is still in the box. I've been playing Dragon Quest.
Yeah. Nice. It is cool to have them. I really do want one, but I'm not going to be paying $80 on eBay for them. So hopefully they come back. Jared said that more popped up in the UK today, so hopefully very soon they'll be coming to the US. But we will see. All right, let's move on. I got a couple other news stories before we wrap up, and have another video from a long-time listener and viewer. But before we get into that, a little sad news: Alpha Dream has filed for bankruptcy. And if you're unfamiliar with Alpha Dream, they're the company behind the Mario and Luigi series, and really, I think that's really the only notable game that they have made, at least that when I was looking over their list. That's the only one that I definitely recognized. The other ones didn't really stick out to me, and possibly, in my opinion, that might be one of the reasons why they've went bankrupt. But what do you guys think of this news, and where could it go from there? Again, this is kind of moving into speculation town, but we have no idea. But we really don't even know what level of bankruptcy they filed. But it is kind of sad news that when anybody has to file bankruptcy, especially the makers of a great game like Mario and Luigi series. Let's go the other way around this time. And Greg, what do you think about this?
Yeah, it's definitely awful to hear people losing jobs and everything, and all that kind of stuff, and companies shutting down, but I'm sure that the Mario and Luigi property is pretty much in good hands. It's just being able to stay with Nintendo, I imagine. So it's not like it's going to go to like Microsoft or something like that. So yeah, that's pretty bad. I do remember the very first Mario Luigi game. I really enjoyed it a lot. The original Superstar Saga on the Game Boy Advance. That was incredible. I don't think it was the right decision to be remastering them on the 3DS, and then that might have been where they got into trouble, because they might not have been able to sell enough copies of Superstar Saga and also Bowser's Inside Story. So
yeah.
Barry,
what's your thoughts about this?
Again, we don't know what kind of bankruptcy it is, but provided it's the worst kind of bankruptcy, it's definitely sad for those that will lose their jobs. I think the team was very talented, and in a way, it almost feels like Nintendo kind of put them out to dry. And what I mean by that is they literally tasked them with doing 2 remakes in a row, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I mean, Grezzo did 2 Zelda remakes in a row before they did Ever Oasis, and then they went on to Link's Awakening. But they did it for the 3DS, and I think I read something like Bowser's Inside Stories was like the lowest selling Nintendo published 3DS game in the history of the series. Like, it was just abysmal because it came out January of this year. Like, at this point, people have a Switch. The 3DS is dead. It was the last, like, next to last. Kirby's Ultra Epic Yarn was last. And it's just one of those where it's like they don't care. It's just, here's a remake on a dying system so we can keep the system relevant. And the poor team worked their butts off on that, added new stuff. It's not like Nintendo didn't promote it. I mean, they did E3, and they showed it up at the Treehouse, and they showed it up in Directs, but no one bought it. Yeah. I bought it, but other than me, no one bought it.
And collectors, that's about it.
Yeah, and it's sad because you did 5 Mario and Luigi games, which were all great in their own respect, and then you finish it up with 2 remakes, and then that's it. Like, if those 2 remakes came to Switch, I think it would have been a whole different tune. Even if they went to 3DS and Switch, I would be fine with that. But without them going to Switch, I think it hurts. And as for the future of Mario and Luigi team, you know what? If they don't buy Alpha Dream or buy up the talent, they might shelve it. And we know when Nintendo shelves a franchise, we may not see it again for another 10, 20 years, if that. They might say, all right, let's do Paper Mario. Let's have less competition in the Mario RPG series. Or who knows? But it's just sad to see.
Yeah, for sure. Hassan, any thoughts about this?
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of echo, what everyone said, and it sucks if people end up losing jobs, all that kind of stuff. If worst case scenario for what happens, then that certainly sucks. But it makes me wonder. I always have kind of seen the Mario and Luigi series and Paper Mario. There's some similarities there. Obviously, there are some differences too, but Mario and Luigi series has traditionally been, as far as I remember, on handhelds, Paper Mario on console, Switch also now being sort of the hybrid. I mean, I would think there's room for both, but maybe Nintendo also just isn't as concerned with that, and maybe they're, as Barry kind of said, maybe they're like, oh, we have Paper Mario, and we're good with that. So maybe, Nintendo just isn't as interested in that franchise, just wanted to squeeze out what they could with those remakes or something, which is a shame, because I actually played, I'm not super big on RPGs, but Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, I actually played a decent bit of it and enjoyed what I had played of that. So, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah, I mean they did have that one kind of a crossover, right? What was the one that was
Jam.
Paper Jam? Yeah. So I mean they could put that again. I mean, what happens to the Mario RPG kind of line with this sort of thing happening? We haven't really seen anything else from that. Jakester's even wondering, are they going to even do anything with any sort of Mario RPG if this kind of goes to the wayside and they let it completely die? I think that would be really upsetting. I've not played any of those games, but I know people that have that love them, and some of you guys, are some of those people, and it'd be really sad to see all that go. So I hope they do at least buy up the talent and keep that going, because there are some very talented developers there. It's just upsetting that they had to go this way, and maybe it's just I forget all the different types of bankruptcy, but maybe it's just the one where they get to restart.
Restructure.
Yeah, restructure. So
Yeah, I mean, I guess if we were to take one, somewhat positive element out of this, is I know like the Paper Mario series just kind of went away from RPG elements because they were like, oh, we have Mario and Luigi that does the more traditional RPG stuff with leveling and gear and battle system and whatnot, and Paper Mario's kind of gone into this weird place where it's like these interactive like battles that don't give you any experience and just are like wasting your time, and so it could lead to a Paper Mario's return to form if they're unable to continue that series. So as I said, that could be considered a lightness in this dark news, but I don't know.
yeah.
It's never worth it when people are losing their livelihoods and everything like that, though. So,
For sure. Yeah. Well, one thing that may be going away. Who knows what happens with all that? One game that seems to be coming back that a lot of people maybe had forgotten about was Brain Age, but only coming to Japan as of right now. We really don't know a whole lot about it, but Brain Age has a Switch announcement but just in Japan. So it may be time for me to resurrect my Japanese eShop account and get that fired up in case they do an English version. If it's all in Japanese, then I'm not gonna do very well in Brain Age Japanese at all. Maybe the number ones, but definitely not anything that's based on anything written in Japanese. Hassan, any thoughts about Brain Age coming back and just in Japan?
It's cool to see that franchise again, and it really is kind of 50-50 in my mind if it'll come to the U.S. or not. I could really see it going either way. I hope it does, because it'd be cool to see that franchise again. It'd be kind of interesting to see a bunch of those sort of Wii-era franchises, DS-era franchises come back, like Nintendogs or other things. Like the Switch is just so popular that, like, Ring Fit Adventure is almost kind of like your Wii Fit type thing in a way, but like, just sort of bringing those franchises back. I think it would be nice. So definitely, I'm down for more Brain Age. I could use some more brain power, I guess.
Nice. Barry, what do you think about Brain Age?
I really enjoyed the first one, and I never played the others, but I think it makes sense to bring some of their Blue Ocean games over to the Switch. I think at this point the Switch's install base is really big, and the hardcore gamers already have it, and to open it up to the more casual Ring Fit Adventure is definitely a taste of that. And obviously this new Brain Age, a lot of people even forget that Brain Age had a release on the 3DS that did make it to our shores, and people just didn't get it. Mm-hmm. So who knows? I think it's good. I'm happy to see it. I mean, more IP resurrection is always good. Maybe next time it'll be F-Zero or Star Tropics.
Yeah. I think it makes a lot of sense, especially with the Switch Mini coming out, because it's definitely kind of a handheld sort of game. Greg, any thoughts about Brain Age?
Yeah, I almost kind of wish it would come here. I did like Barry. I really enjoyed the first one, so it would be really cool to kind of see it again. I mean, I don't think they could justify having a full price tag on it, but I I don't know. I would probably still get it if they brought it over here.
Nice. Yeah, I hope they do. But I'll, it's definitely one of those that I may download on my Japanese account as long as I can actually play it. That's one thing. I'm gonna have to check that out first. So it definitely won't be a day one download by any means. And Barry, are you going to be importing it, or is it just the U.S. collection that you got?
I'm doing the full U.S. collection, but I'm also doing a full English collection as well. So if it's European, Asian, or Japanese, and it's in English, it's playable in English, then yes. But only if it doesn't come here. So if they're like, hey, we're not going to ever release it in America, it's Japanese only, but you can boot it up. And because the way Switch games work is they're a Japanese release that have English. When you put it in your Switch, it defaults to the standard language that your system is set to. So if your system is set to English, you put the card in, the whole game, boom, in English. Even on the menu, everything. So it's great. So if that's the case, then yeah, then I'll get it for sure. If it's only Japanese, I'm not going to touch it.
Yeah, gotcha. All right, well, that wraps up our news section, news discussion, but we have one more video before we completely wrap up the podcast. We've got still a lot to talk about, what we're looking forward to over the next, couple weeks until the next podcast and everything, but I do have one more video to share with you guys, and this is from, like I said, a long-time listener, and actually was on the podcast. We mentioned this already before, and he will also mention this as well. Let's hear it from Roth. Take it away, Roth.
Hi guys, Roth here, and I want to congratulate you guys on the 10-year anniversary. So here's a recent photo of me hanging out with Baymax at Disney World. Yeah, I remember back when the website was still called WeNintendo.net, and I remember the design, this overall design was like light blue colored with white graphics, and logo had these white plus signs. I guess you could call them D-pads. They look like D-pads with a hand holding a Wii remote. And I remember commenting on like pretty much every article that Mickey posted. And I don't remember like how I found a website. I guess it was through like a web search. It just turned up being one of the first results, and I just looked in and found out, it's a fan-made website. And I think it was around the time when the name was revealed to be Wii. Previously, it was just called Revolution. That was the code name. And I just wanted to keep up with Nintendo news in general. It was time to get back into video games for me. So, and I remember joining the forums, and oh geez, remember when forums used to be a thing? Oh man, those were the times. And I got to meet you guys at PAX East. I got to meet Hey Suburbia, aka Mickey. I haven't seen that guy for a while. I hope he's doing well. I got to meet Dark Wish, as you all know as Hassan, and I think Steve was there too. Steve was known as Hattrick back then. So that was pretty neat. That was like our first community meetup. For me, it was my first community meetup ever. So I mean, that was pretty neat to hang out with like-minded folks. And yeah, I specifically remember that was at 2010 PAX East. It was at the Heinz Convention Center in Boston, and I think it was during the E3 had a panel. I think it was about Dead Space or something. And I remember rushing to the hotel room and grabbing my Japanese input DSi and having you guys trying out that object-looking game where you had to find these hidden objects, because it uses the built-in gyroscope, and it was a pretty neat feature. It's sort of like pre-VR-ish kind of a game, if you can call it a game. But yeah, those were good times. It's Wii Nintendo, or NintendoFuse now, as it's called now, is a lovely community. So yeah, I want to wish you guys a good 10 years, and maybe we'll see each other again in the next 10 years. a lot of things can happen in the next 10 years. So, I mean, like technology-wise, oh geez, who knows? We'll probably see like Nintendo systems that are VR focused. Who knows? Holographics. I'm down for that. Sign me up. But yeah, keep up the great work and stay connected.
Wow, so great to hear from you, Roth. And yeah, I mean, as he said at the end, like, what if eventually Nintendo gets into the VR and holographic and stuff, and we could do our podcast through our Nintendo systems, and just like we could be in your living room, just like standing there, and like that'd be great. But I love how he mentioned getting together at PAX and also trying out the DSi game on his Japanese DSi. That was pretty awesome. So thanks so much, Roth. I believe Roth is one of our oldest listeners. I think he was there from almost the very beginning, if not the very beginning. I feel like Roth's always been a listener. So thanks for supporting us over the years, Roth, and thanks for joining in that one podcast. And this makes two, I guess. This makes two of the NintendoFuse podcasts you've been on. So. So.
What do you mean he finally gets into VR? Did you forget? They've been in VR before.
Well, okay, good point. And speaking of which, look, like I have kind of one behind me too. There's the Labo VR, so we're like almost mimicking each other. It's basically the same.
Yeah, basically.
Basically.
NintendoFuse podcast using Labo VR.
Yes.
Well, there was that patent for that new VR headset. Right?
That's true. You can actually tune in and be present with us. Oh man, that's gonna be crazy. All right. Well, before we wrap up, we do want to also just remind you, if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you hit that subscription button on either YouTube or your favorite podcast app. If you're listening to this audio, we'd love for you guys to subscribe on those and share this with your friends, other people that love Nintendo. And if you are watching on YouTube, whether right now live or after the fact, be sure to hit that bell so you're alerted every time we post a new video, every time we go live, about all the different things that we post on here. We have industry talks, the interviews. We got several of those coming up. Several of them have been posted over the last couple of weeks as well. Some indie developers that we've been talking to. Also, we got gameplay stuff. We got game chats. I think we're going to be filming some new game chats really, really soon. So we've got a lot of stuff coming up. So make sure you do just subscribe and hit that bell. All right, before we wrap up today, let's talk about what we're excited about over the next couple weeks. And this is the crazy thing, because of us switching to Tuesdays now. Tuesday is actually a release day. So before, on Mondays, we had to look forward to like the next day, and barely any games come out on Monday. But Tuesday is actually a release day. So several games are actually launched today. So like I haven't had a chance to even fire up my Switch today. But games like Ukulele and the Impossible Lair came out today. The Asphalt 9, the free-to-play mobile game, came over to the Switch. Overwatch is coming out on October 15th. The Witcher 3 is coming out on October 15th. Ring Fit Adventure, which we talked about over the last couple podcasts, is coming out on the 18th. There's several other games, but what are you guys looking forward to, maybe off that list, or maybe there's other games that I didn't mention that you're looking forward to playing over the next couple weeks? Hassan? Let's go. Can't talk. Talk too long. We're almost done. Let's go to you first.
I think the only one I can think of is one on the list, which is Ring Fit Adventure. I do have that pre-ordered. Looks interesting. I'm always down for when Nintendo wants to try new things and play around with like the fitness stuff and see how that is. So we'll definitely check out how that is. Non-software related, but hardware related. They just released a bunch of Joy-Cons and stuff, but the Disney Tsum Tsum Switch, which is a Japan exclusive as of now, I think it just came out or is about to come out, so I should be getting that soon as well. So lots of cool stuff on the way.
Cool. Greg, what are you looking forward to over the next couple weeks?
Probably more just finishing up Link's Awakening, really. Even though those big heavy hitters are dropping in, I still have Link's Awakening and Dragon Quest XI, and let's see, there was even Three Houses I still haven't even gotten very far in, so I feel like I'm still pretty stacked.
Yeah, for sure. Barry, Any time over the next couple weeks?
Well, it depends on when I finish Dragon Quest 11. And I know obviously Luigi's Mansion is coming up at the end of the month, but I am hoping, depending on when I finish that, to go to either Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Dungeon. I've heard nothing but good things about it. It looks great. Also a release, it was last week it came out that it was one of those like, hey, I pre-order it, cool, whatever. But it looks interesting. It's called A Girl Who Chants Love at the Bound of the World. I like visual novel style games, and there's been some great ones on the Switch. So I might give that a try. Again, like something a little smaller, coming off of Dragon Quest. It's such a big game. It's like I like to do a little smaller games in between, so we'll see. But there's just so many games coming out right now. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, for sure. Jakester says he's going to be finishing Link's Awakening this week live. And Basement Dweller says he just got started it on Impossible Lair, and it's fantastic so far. So, I really I'm looking forward to playing that. I'm not sure if I'm going to get a review copy or if I'll just be purchasing it myself. But it's definitely a game that I'm looking forward to playing over the next couple weeks. Yeah, it just came out today. So we'll see if they get back with me or not. And then I'll be trying out Asphalt 9 because it's free. But I don't know. I'm not like overly excited about it, but it's cool to have it, and I'll see how it is.
Do Dragon Quest 9 or Dragon Quest 11's demo first.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I mean, Asphalt 9, I feel like I could spend like 5 minutes with it and then move on and play something else, then come back for 5 minutes. So we'll see. Overwatch, I think I've said this when it first got announced. I played a lot of Overwatch when I think it first came out. I haven't played it in a couple years, and so I'm like, I don't know. I'm not as excited as if this came out earlier, I would have been a lot more excited. This late in the game, I'm like, I don't know. I feel like most people who still play Overwatch are the really, really competitive players, and I'm not going to be able to stand a chance against them. And so why? Although, I don't know. Do you guys know if this is crossplay with other systems or not? If it's not, then maybe I'll stand a chance if it's just against other Switch owners, because I'm sure the pro players play on other systems.
I don't know.
But yeah, I'm going to be checking out Wii Fit Adventure as well, or not Wii Fit Adventure, Ring Fit Adventure. It's basically Wii Fit Adventure, Ring Fit Adventure as well. And again, I said this last episode as well. Let us know in the comments. Let us know in our Discord if you think Mickey mentioned it earlier in the podcast that like one of the first things that we did on the old site and the new sites as well, like every Wii Sports and Wii Fit and Wii Fit U and all those different games came out. We did kind of this experiment stuff. And so I think it could be kind of cool to do a community experiment around Ring Fit Adventures. So if you're on board for that and you think it'd be cool, let us know and we'll organize something. Maybe this time around, instead of just one or two of the staff members doing it, we could actually get the whole community involved and see how much fun, but also maybe how much weight we can lose or how much we can get in shape around Ring Fit Adventure. So I don't know. If that's interest to you, let us know, and we'll put something together. But man, it's been a great podcast, guys. A great 10 years of this. It's crazy. It still blows my mind that we've been doing this for 10 years. But wow, thanks so much for tuning in. Some of you guys have been here the entire 10 years. Thanks for Roth. I think you're one of the ones for sure that have been here almost the whole 10 years, if not the whole 10 years. Hassan, thanks for getting this started, man. It's so cool. I know I was there from the beginning, but this was your whole brainchild. You just kind of birthed all this up and everything, and so thankful for allowing me to be a part of it, and then getting these guys, Greg and Barry, along the way, and it's one of the highlights of my now we're doing it every other week, or depending whatever schedule we were on at the time, it was always the highlight of that week, to be able to just kick back and talk video games with you guys for a while. So yeah, thanks so much.
Oh, absolutely, it's been a pleasure, and I definitely, we'll keep on popping in here and there when I can, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And like Roth said, who knows what's going to happen in the next 10 years. So, and I hope that maybe we'll still be doing this. We'll be eventually in wheelchairs and in our barely able to even push the buttons on whatever system we're playing and everything. But maybe we'll still be doing this in 50 years from now. Who knows? But we'll keep going as long as you guys keep showing up and keep listening and everything. We'll keep this thing going. So to all of you guys, thank you for talking games with us. And next episode is on October 22nd, so 2 weeks from today. New time, because we're doing it at 8:30 Eastern time, 5:30 Pacific time. Had to do quick math there. So that's our new day and time. We're doing Tuesdays now, and 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific. And we'd love for you guys to tune in the chat and join in all the discussion while we record live. But until next time, thanks so much for tuning in to the NintendoFuse podcast, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.